Hello and welcome to the I Think by Alex YouTube channel. This has been a project in the making for the last about half a year. Last year I decided that I was going to work on some side projects after work, after my day job. One of those was learning digital modeling and animations. Another was to start a YouTube channel. That one, specifically when I was thinking of that YouTube channel, I was thinking of doing something specifically focused on chemistry. Unfortunately, I'm not super good with my animations yet, and I want that channel to be premium when it comes out, and so I want to give a little bit more time to work on animations and modeling, that kind of thing. And so, although that is still in the works, this spring, then this spring, after I was watching some YouTube videos, and I seen one, a debate on genders and that sort of thing, and I kind of I felt like I wanted to speak or express my view on that, and so I could see, different flaws in both sides of the arguments, and I was just sort of left with this feeling of wanting to put out my beliefs, my views on those things, and so that's kind of when I came up with the idea to do this channel, which is supposed to be a space where I can give my ideas, essentially what I think on different topics and subjects. Initially, I was planning to release a video on genders first. I felt like that topic was really important and relevant to today. But as the ideas for more videos started coming out, I've decided to wait on that one a little bit and start with some other ideas. I decided to start by giving a few views that will kind of help you see some of my beliefs and how that influences my understanding of the world. I hope to keep this channel centered more around thought, sort of personal philosophy. I'm not actually specifically trained in philosophy. I haven't done any studying particularly on it. And then also theology and science. I want those three sort of subjects to kind of be the main subject. And first series of videos that I'll be focusing on or that I'll be producing, they essentially focus on discussing my belief in God, essentially looking at an argument for God that I've sort of thought up or discovered, mostly coming from a scientific side of things. It is to my knowledge. I think it's a somewhat original argument. I think that so there's the argument of contingency. I think that's maybe the closest to my argument. I'm not quite sure. I haven't studied fully through all of the arguments for God, but I'm pretty sure it's not super close to anything. Maybe the contingency argument might be somewhat close. I'll probably go through that. I'll maybe go through both the contingency argument and my argument, just trying to kind of compare them, show the differences maybe. But before stating that argument, I plan to first go into some of the terms that I use in my argument, how they relate to the premises, and then also how they would be related to perhaps some arguments against the argument that I make. So in this introduction video, I thought that it could be a good idea to discuss the ideas of conservatism or conservative thought versus liberal thought. That'll just give you kind of a general idea where I stand, perhaps, I don't know. On the idea of, so this will probably be kind of a short, a short discussion on this. It's not going to be super in-depth maybe, but so I would like to explain what I think of the terms. So to me, the ideal goal for the ideal goal of conservative thought, it seems to me, as I look at people and organizations that are conservative, I think the ideal goal for conservative thought is to conserve that what has been good for society, or what has been good for maybe more specifically for a church or for an organization, but conserving what has been good or what has worked in the past. That's the ideal, really. Then you can have extremes of that, which they kind of differ from the ideal, and just focus more on conserving basically anything, maybe even focusing on conserving things that are detrimental, etc. And so, in contrast to that, the ideal of liberal thought is kind of the opposite of that. Is to, well, not the opposite of that, but the ideal of liberal thought is essentially to change things that haven't worked in the past, or that aren't working currently, or that are viewed as not particularly good for society. They would like to change it to something that works better, that is more useful. The problem with the liberal ideal is that it assumes that there's a better way for something, when it might not be a better way of doing things. The other problem with liberal ideal is if you get too far to the liberal and you start trying to change a lot of different things, essentially you can change one thing that might seem small, and that might lead to needing to change a lot of other things in society, and then that can make you have to make more and more changes that are more and more complicated and difficult, and ultimately the worst case of this essentially leads to so much change in society that we as individuals, as well as as a people group and as a culture, sort of start to lose our identities. And that ends up leading to a very chaotic society. Um, and so, on the other hand, the conservative side of things, they sort of make the assumption that what is happening now, what is perhaps working now, shouldn't need to be changed. It's working now, it shouldn't need to be changed. And that can be problematic because the world around us is changing, and in order to keep up with that change, we need to also change our views, our ideas. There might be a better way of doing things if we were to change a certain amount of things. The thing that we think is working really well now might work better if we were to change some other things. So the other so things that aren't they might also conserve things that aren't beneficial to society, would be another problem. And so an example of that would be the enslavement of African Americans, that was conserved for some time, whether it was a conservative or a liberal position. It was conserved for a certain amount of time in early American history, and so that will be one example of conserving something that's not really good. It may have looked beneficial to some people at the time, but ultimately it was detrimental to society. And as much as we might not want to admit it, it certainly seems to me that is still affecting a society today. That what was conserved there in that racial slavery. But then, yeah, so as the world changes, as technology changes, it seems like there's a rational position to realize that change is probably necessary at some times, and so the conservative side can end up leading to society maybe falling behind technology, and other things like that. So we should have some change or some liberalism to it. And so realizing then that there's problems with the extremes of these topics, essentially, personally, I stand somewhere in the middle. So we do need, we really do need to conserve things that are good, but we also need to learn about things, and learn specifically about things that aren't working particularly well, that aren't particularly beneficial to society, and then we need to learn how to change those things to make them better. So what we're ultimately looking for is an optimized society, not a liberal society or a conservative society. We want an optimal society, or an optimized society. And so in order to get that, my view is that we need to have sort of a liberal version of conservatism, or a conservative version of liberalism. So we want slow positive changes, rather than having large changes that end up creating kind of a chaotic society, where it's kind of difficult to function, and rather than hurriedly changing things quickly, and hoping that we might find something that works good, it's better to make those slow changes, the slow positive changes, and not lose ground where we are from where we're at. So I'm obviously then I would push more towards a conservative side. I believe I did a political test thing, and I ended up being pretty close to right in the center, just slightly right, slightly to the right, which would be slightly to the conservative side. And so after, that's all I have, I think, on conservative versus liberalism. So after discussing the argument for God, I'm sort of hoping to go into other topics. I wanted to talk about morality, for example. Just a couple different subjects, videos centered around that. And then after that, I kind of plan to go into some other topics. The gender one would be sometime after that. And then also, recently I joined the Peterson Academy, a fully online available place of education. Currently, their courses are mostly focused around psychology and philosophy, but they also have a neuroscience course on there, which I've been studying. I've gone through all of the lectures. I haven't gotten around to taking the quizzes yet, but essentially from that neuroscience class, I'm hoping to bring some ideas from there, and use that as well to create some ideas for videos. One of those that I'm planning to do a video on is sort of neuroscience, and then during one of the lectures in the neuroscience class, they were talking about the rubber hand experiment, and during that time I was thinking about, he was talking about mannequins and that kind of stuff, and that kind of pushed my mind to thinking about voodoo dolls and that kind of stuff, and how those two kinds of things are related, and so I'm kind of hoping to get a video up about that. And so I'm also open to a lot of different ideas as far as topics go. So if you happen to have any topic ideas that you would be interested in, finding out what I think about those topics or subjects, let me know. I will have a Facebook page with the same title, I think, by Alex. You can also check my, so I'll have a Facebook page for that, and then I'm also hoping to have a website for a blog up, and I'll have the text sort of try to get that put into a blog format, and so my hopes are to, as sort of a side project that I've been working on, is to hopefully create a full personal website so I'm hoping to have a personal art store where I can put drawings and make drawings available. They would be digitalized, so you'd have options to get a print of them. Some of them might be set up so that you can print them directly on a printer if you have them. I'm still working on how to get all that sort of stuff to work out. Working on digitalizing that sort of stuff. I'm not quite sure yet when that'll come. I'm hoping to probably have a blog website up available when this video goes out. And then I'll have links to that sort of stuff. And then I'll build the other page and I'll kind of merge them later. And then also on that personal website, I would have links to the YouTube videos and perhaps some other fun stuff. So I'm not exactly sure when that stuff will come up. I'm also hoping to have my other YouTube channel linked to that website as well. I'm not sure when I'll get to all these things. I've got full-time work. I'm also doing part-time university. Potentially looking at moving this later this fall or in the winter rather, probably. And so with all that busyness going on, I'm not exactly sure. I'm also not sure how many videos I'll get out and how often that they will get out. I was planning on every 2 weeks trying to get a video out. Unfortunately, this video I was originally going to put it out. I was originally going to record it and put it out like 3 weeks ago, and then I got busy on school, and so I wasn't able to get around to it. So essentially, if I don't get out as many videos as quickly as I can, or if I get busy, it might be a little bit longer than every 2 weeks. But that's kind of the goal that I'm kind of shooting for right now. So yeah, if you wanna subscribe or whatever,